Okay, hello everyone. In this video I am building a fairy cottage, I guess. Actually wait, no, it's not a cottage, it's a cafe. Sorry, I'm getting confused. Okay, so I actually wanted to talk a little bit about, I guess, my life in the past few years, because a few years ago, I want to say 4 years ago, more or less, I would not get upset over anything. I don't really know the word to describe it, but I could watch the saddest videos. I would just never be upset over it. Like, obviously it would be sad, but like I wouldn't start crying. But then one day something just completely changed in me, and now I cry over almost anything sad. I think one thing that really gets me crying is the Modern Family final. I don't know if you have seen that or not, but I think the scene at the very end of the very last episode, they show all of the houses where the characters live and all the lights turn off. And that's just the last scene of the entire series. And genuinely, I just remember walking downstairs after watching that and just dropping to the floor crying, because I don't know why things like that get me so emotional. I really don't, especially because this never happened to me before. I was never upset over anything. Like, obviously it would be sad, I would be like, oh, but I wouldn't start crying over it. But now I just cry over almost everything. And something that got me crying recently was I decided to rewatch the Cat's Eye series on Netflix, because I had not seen that since probably last year, and I recently kind of got back into Cat's Eye, and I've actually kind of recently gotten into K-pop after being an avid, not a hater, but just someone who wasn't really into K-pop music. But recently I have actually kind of gotten into it, although I'm pretty sure Cat's Eye is not really K-pop. But anyway, I decided to rewatch the series, and at the very end when they were naming all the contestants, I started crying because of how proud I was of them, which now looking back at that I realize how kind of parasocial that is. But I think them just talking about how happy they are with themselves that they were able to get into the group, I think that really made me quite emotional. I feel like I wasn't even really crying for those who didn't get into the group. Like, that was sad that they didn't get into the group after I think they had like 2 or 3 years of training. Crazy. But I think also knowing that they were some of them were going to debut in a different group, which I think is even better for them than it would have been if they were to get into Cat's Eye. If you don't know who I'm talking about Emily and Samara, because they were both in the final and they were able to debut together in a completely different group, which honestly I think is a lot more suitable for them and their personas, I guess. So I guess that was also quite bittersweet, because yes, they didn't get into Cat's Eye, which is really sad, but they managed to get into a group that's even better for them. So I'm just so happy for them, along with Lexi as well. I love Lexi so much. Thing is, things like that never got me crying before. It was always, I feel like I don't have any emotions. Like, I think I would tell myself that, like, why do I not cry to anything? Like, why am I guess you could say I was more full of apathy than I was empathy. And that's not to say that I didn't care, but I just never really got into tears over anything. Like, even if it was just about myself, like, I would never really cry about anything. Like, I could be upset, but I'd never cry about it, which is very different now, may I add. I don't really know what changed. I feel like so much has, I guess, happened to me, or I've gone through so much that along the way my brain just kind of switched personalities, I guess. Does that make any sense? But I don't think that it was just the fact that I was never being that upset. I think it's also just any emotion, like anger, for example. I never really got angry. In fact, if I did get angry, I would actually start crying. My emotions were just so messed up in that way, where I would just have different reactions to different emotions. So obviously crying for anger, and then just not crying for when I was upset. That kind of changed when I, funnily enough, watched the recent Love Island series for Love Island All Stars, because I saw so many women kind of stand up for their morals and stand up for what was right, and they were getting mad and showing, I guess they kind of showed me how to be angry and how to stand up for yourself. And that really helped me. I never really thought that saying that Love Island could help me in that way, but it really did. And there was a lot of disrespect in that series, I'm not gonna lie, but it is one of my favorites, if not my favorite series from Love Island, because it really did show me how to produce anger, I guess, and know that if someone does me wrong, then that's not my fault, that is their fault, and I'm allowed to be mad at them for it. And I guess I'll always kind of be thankful to the people in that series for showing me how to be angry. I was very kind of, I don't really want to say annoyed, but I guess kind of bugged at the fact that I never really knew how to be mad, because whenever I would be mad, I just kind of laugh it off. I really wanted to be able to show that what you did to me is not okay, and I want to show you that it's not okay without me starting to laugh, because that was what would happen whenever I wanted to show any ounce of anger, or not laugh, obviously I could also cry instead. After watching that series, I was actually able to get mad, not directly to people most of the time. I'd kind of just think about things that happened to me, I guess, and think, oh my god, how did I let them get away with that? That was so rude, that was so selfish, why would you do that to me? And I was able to get mad at them for it without bursting out into tears or start laughing afterwards. I think I actually laugh at myself for being mad, because I was just so not used to myself having that emotion before. I am really glad that I can now be able to get mad at people. But anyway, that's all I have time for, so I hope you enjoy this small little cafe that I built.